Alright y'all, quick intro here. This video was recorded before I found out all the options that you could use, but I still think it has some value because I compare the optical cable input on an older game like Fallout to the regular headphone jack on the controller. At the end, you will hear the differences. So if you don't want to hear my ramblings about the different qualities you can do, like the different ways you can input and output them, feel free to skip that. But there is some pretty cool audio samples at the end, I think. This also includes some descriptions of ways that you can output to a DAC or directly to an amp if you want to. So I think there's some value to that as well. But I will leave you to it. I hope you enjoy, and I will be having another video that talks more in depth at the end after I tested everything about how Atmos compares to the optical connection on older games that use Adobe 5.1, and I will be uploading that one tomorrow. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. All right, y'all. So try to do this twice. Hopefully, third time's the charm. So I've gone through all the audio options here for. I've used this device to go out through the 3.5mm jack into a Magni stack. Listen to how that sounded. The bottom line is that when you take it out from here and you go into the Magni stack, you get more punch, but you lose all of your kind of directional, not all of it, but you lose detail, clarity, and the directional. And I'm assuming that that's because of the Dolby Atmos that is built in, and that you can't really pass that along when you send it out. But what you can do, if you want to, you've got a couple options. You can take this 3.5mm out, you can input that to the back of an amp, and then you can use that to get like way more powerful sound if you want to export it from here. What you can also do is, as you can see, there is an optical cable that I ended up plugging into the back of this. I did that because the optical cable adds clarity, it adds volume, it adds depth, it adds everything that you'd want. And on top of that, if you see the USB connection there, if you just use the USB connection, it has to be powered off of the Xbox. There's no other way to do it. When you do that, you're introducing interference. And using the Tin Hi-Fi T2s, I could literally hear a ding in my left ear, and then it would go away eventually. But it's obvious that you're getting static and interference with it, where with the optical, you do not do that. And I did find, through just testing some stuff, it seemed like my ability to get directional audio was just as good. So what I was making this one about specifically, though, that I wanted to talk about is I'm going to measure in this, if you have the remote control. One thing I thought was like, hey, is all this even worth it? Because at the end of the day, I installed the Atmos software. I'm assuming that works with the controller now, since it's on the Xbox itself and not on this device. But even if it doesn't, the bottom line is, okay, so now I've got these really nice pair of IEMs that have good imaging and decent soundstage. Why don't I just plug these into the remote control? I can tell you, I tried that and it was ridiculously bad. There's a loud, you get a loud hum. You probably don't even notice that if you weren't coming from a super clean sound, but this feels like you're listening to like ATX, like in a movie theater. Like it's super clean now, the way that it's set up, where if you just use the Xbox remote and you plug something into it, it's super noisy. Even if you don't need a lot of power, it's still a noisy connection. So you're gonna lose your ability to hear anything that sounds very good out of it. So I was just going to test it back and forth, so y'all could hear, because there's some crazy stuff going on here. Where with the controller, you can't hear nearly any of the details. With this, I was literally hearing, I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen here. Yeah. See that guy digging? you can actually hear him digging. I could hear the buildings creaking, like sounds that I didn't even know were in the game. And so there's a few levels of the sound that I've gotten through experimenting with all these different things. So the first level, which is the worst, is basically I plug, even with a good pair of headphones, I put in my 58X drop headphones. I plug them into this jack, and I just see what I get. And after listening to everything else, you basically can't hear anything. All you get is booms and bangs, but like you can't hear any of the detail that's in this game at all. The next level up that you get is if you use, say, like a Microsoft wireless headset, which is still a good value. Like if you don't want to mess with all this, for $100 you get something that has the MixAmp built into it, so you can you just slide one of the cups around and you figure out your mix of game audio, which is pretty cool. So versus your speaking. So like if you're in a party, it's really cool that it's like you're super easy to adjust that to see if you want to hear anything in game or not. And then the other one's volume. So like literally, like you don't have to ever hit your Xbox remote control and do anything. Like you can do everything from the headset, and then you can get up and leave and walk around your house and go to the kitchen or whatever, and it's great. And it's like $100. The only issue is it doesn't give you super high fidelity sound, you know, for music or for games or for whatever. It's convenience, but it's not super capable. So that is a better solution. The third level is using this guy here. If you use the Magni stack that I have here, it gives you amplification, it gives you more sound, it's really nice. But what it does not give you is clarity, and I didn't realize that until I've tried this guy over here. If you use this, you get booms and bangs, and you get better directionality and imaging, and it's really actually pretty good if you don't need, like what you do with this, say if you needed to be in a party, you would use this, and then you get a little $10 lapel mic or whatever you need, and then you just plug that directly into the controller, and then you're good to go. You can do it that way. But this was, so the next level for this is like you use the USB on this, and it sounds great until you try the optical, and then you plug the optical into this, and it sounds even better. And I think that's the highest level of sound, because I think this is literally the only device that Microsoft authorized. Like you can't put any other DACs, like you can't just plug stuff into it. Your only other options are HDMI out to something like a TV. So you take the HDMI out to this, and then you get a crappy analog out of it. You could go to like a home theater receiver with HDMI, but I don't know how that's really going to help you any. They haven't approved any other DACs. They only have a few wireless products that are decent, but not amazing. So this, like if you want to use something audiophile grade, this is pretty much your only choice. So if you do use this, then I'd recommend using it with an HDMI extractor as well. But essentially you buy this adapter, so it goes HDMI from the Xbox and then HDMI out to your TV. But in the middle of that, it also gives you an optical connection. That optical connection is going to go out to your MixAmp here. And once you get that optical in here, then you can basically get the best quality signal that you can. You can also, if you wanted to, on the back of this, you see that, but it's got a button that says stream on it, or not a button, but an output that says stream. Think of that as a preamp. So if for whatever reason you want to use this and you want to go out to an amplifier, you absolutely can. So this actually functions as a really good DAC. Like I listened to this for a bunch of music last night. I'm not going to play, I really don't want to get into having to worry about if I'm going to get copywritten or not, but I can tell you it's clear as a bell. I've been using the Modi for a while, which is really, really good. And if you wanted to, I tell you, you could just use this as your DAC. This could be your DAC. And then you could go out to your amp if you wanted to, like for listening to, you know, like if you wanted to listen to, like if your Xbox was your piece of equipment, that's just how you listen to music, I'd have absolutely no problem going, okay, well, you just take that out, you get you use this to get your sound into it, and then send this out to an amplifier or like a headphone amp, or you could even send it out to a theater amp or whatever. This is essentially gives you a full pre-out using the line that is marked for streaming. But I'm blown away with the audio quality of this, and I wanted to show you guys. So I've got in-ear microphones here. I'm going to put on my headphones, and I'm hoping that it actually accurately captures what I am hearing. So here, let's give it a shot. So I'm going to get this guy out to here. Going to turn it up so hopefully you can hear all the micro details. You hear that? I can hear the wind whistling. I can hear metal. It almost sounds like a metal building banging. I can hear the creaking of some kind of. I can hear the wind. I hear all these little details. So I hope you guys can hear that too. Okay, now I'm going to plug it into the controller. This will be probably not as enjoyable. Like this is maxed out. This is what I got. This is the same place where I was standing, where you heard all the wind, you heard the rustling, and you get almost none of that. I am so blown away by what this MixAmp gives you. I think it's an investment that anybody who's serious about their gaming, and like even if you're using the stuff online, you should still get this. I mean, this has got to help if you're to like get directionality and to hear footsteps and like all that stuff. Like this is going to make a huge difference. So I hope that's captured. I hope you can hear that when I play it back. But I can tell you, like I've played this game. This is a classic, and I go back to it because I just enjoy it. And I had never played the expansion, so I'm playing through it now. So I'm very familiar with how this game sounds. I played tons and tons of hours with it, and what I'm used to hearing is like a faint background music. And like a moo here, or like a hey guy, over there, and then pow 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 when there's gunfights. But there's an entire level of other sounds going on in this game that I can hear now, and I'm just blown away by it. So I hope that comes across.